You know who it is, the horror flick digger did Super 6 Big Mitch. And today, you know, I'm not going to even do what I normally do because today too special. Everybody know that, I have a platform, but many don't know that this is my first time doing a platform in a professional setting. But what make it even more great is who I have sitting next to me. A woman of renowned status, a stalwart in our community, a beacon of resistance for positivity. With further ado, Miss Ruby, Dr. Miss Ruby Duncan. How you doing?
Hello, darling. How are you?
Well, I'm the blessed one sitting here. The pleasure's all mine. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's so good to be here with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, for anybody that don't know who Miss Duncan is, if you're familiar with the WIC program, which is it stands for Women, Infant, and Children, which was a pilot program that started in 1972 and was permanently implemented in 1974. She was the one that spearheaded the movement, which brought out the book Caesar's Palace. She's the inspiration, storming Caesar's Palace. Excuse me, I'm so boosted up right now because who I have sitting next to me, but she's the progenitor of that book. Now, a lot of you people, especially from my generation, we grew up under the WIC program, and I'm gonna let her explain a lot about it. So for those that don't understand the WIC program or know anything about it, she go give clarity to that. So I'm gonna turn it over to Miss Duncan, and you can take it from there.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Ruby Duncan, and it's so wonderful to be sitting here with this young man, and I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I will say that welfare rights once upon a time, and a group of great community mothers and a whole bunch of supporters and legal services, we made sure that we brought that program to all the needy women throughout the community with babies. And if you know you are pregnant, first thing you want to do is go to your doctor, and once your doctor say you're pregnant, then you must move on to one of the community WIC programs. We also are the ones that brought about food stamps throughout the whole United States also. Both programs served the total United States plus all the territories. I hope you mothers are really, really using this program. And don't be too cute now because your children need all the nutrition, and so do you.
Absolutely. You worked with some interesting and legendary people such as Mary Wesley, Miss Stampley, Miss Bills, Miss Henderson, Miss Seals. You also worked with my grandmama, who was she was from a movement called Po People Pulling Together, I believe.
Yes, she
Dorothy Ann
was.
Desert.
Yes, she
What was
was.
that experience like? Back then for the people that don't know.
Well, I want to go all the way back because there was so many of us. Say no way in the world you could have called all the names, but I must say there was great women there that did as much greater work than we
Absolutely.
were. But we are the ones, and I always tell everyone, those were some great women. And when I describe the whole project, I'm talking about the great women, and I always, probably never say no names, but you
Right.
got to know there was thousands of us.
Mhm.
Those women were the greatest women I ever seen, and I guess I was kind of the most quietest one until they told me, "Now you go out there and tell them what we told you to do."
Absolutely.
So I had to do what I was told to do.
Absolutely.
They
Okay.
were great people, and we did. We were all into the welfare departments, the welfare offices, the food stamps. We were all over the place. We didn't only go for that. We went for programs such as school programs, after school programs.
Mm-hmm.
We did health care. We made sure we worked with the youth.
Okay.
We knocked on doors and also helped educate all of the young women about the need to go vote
Absolutely.
also,
Mm-hmm.
because if you don't go vote for people, or shall I say for politicians that especially know the programs and are voting to keep the programs for nutrition and education,
Mm-hmm.
then it probably will fade away.
Okay. Right.
I know that a lot of us think that these programs will never go away. Yes, they will,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't support the people that work with it and within it.
Right.
So every one of you, I would really beg all of you young women that use the program and all of our grandmothers and great grandmothers to push the young women out the door to make sure that they um, get these nutritional programs. And plus, I want to say this. I love saying this because it's very important. Black women are not the only one that's using these programs. Working poor women who are white, brown, and Asian, and throughout this country. All of us need to know that this program is there for us. You don't have a job, but you have a right to have nutritional foods. So, therefore, I hope that you go out and help make sure this program is supported by your community, your Congress people, your state senator people that go off to Washington, D.C. continually to keep these nutritional programs very strong for all of the young people and senior citizens whom need these nutritional programs.
Beautiful, beautiful. Speaking of the young people, what do you say to people who don't feel so energetic about voting? Because a lot of people don't understand what you sacrifice, and what makes you a standout among other political leaders is that what you just said was a key point. You said everybody. So
Yes.
your inclusive attitude is what really makes you a gold standard when it comes to civil rights and things.
Yes.
And my understanding is that you actually worked with the great Cesar Chavez, the Mexican laborer.
Oh, yes, I did.
What was
I
that
worked
experience
with,
like?
I also work with Jesse Jackson
Okay.
out of the Chicago. I work with, and Dr. George Wiley really pushed us to do just that.
Okay.
And I know that a whole bunch of the young people nowadays, I don't care if you black, white, Asian, Mexican, I don't care, you are human. And we want you to bring some healthy babies into this world when you decide to have that healthy baby.
Absolutely.
But I want you to know it's very important for us to do. Those people, at the time that we had loads of national women, international women that come into the United States also work with us. We couldn't have gotten those programs if we wouldn't been working
Absolutely.
and really educating our Congress people and our United States Senator people.
Mm-hmm.
We had to talk to them, explain it so they could explain it and make it happen.
Oh, okay.
We must.
Right.
All of you young women and young men, please, it's a must that you must go vote this November.
And you know what? You've been a staunch advocate of voting and registering to
Yes.
vote. Okay.
Yes.
Well, we live in a generation now. They call it Generation X, and they're more computerized. They're not really
Yeah.
in tune to politics.
No.
So, what do you think that we can do as a community as a whole to reinvigorate what you guys went through, that solidarity and that coming togetherness, so we can come up with ideas, so we can bring back resources into our community? What do you think we need to do for that to happen?
It's a great group of young people throughout this community. I must go all the way over my subject again. Whether you are black, brown, white, Asian, Mexican, whatever you are, if the woman is pregnant, you make sure that she go get this nutritional food.
Okay.
We must do this in order to have what we call good, strong, good babies and healthy babies as the mother bring these children into the world.
Right. And me being a Whig baby myself, I was born in 1974.
Yes.
And I think Las Vegas was the last we were the last to receive the WIC program.
Nevada was the last state in the United States to bring about these programs. And we, myself and all of the great women and young men also throughout the state during those days, really, we stumped for it, we walked for it, we talked for it.
Absolutely.
And we got all the politicians that was in Washington, D.C., which is federal, and they are the one to bring monies home to your states. I know they brings it home to Nevada.
Right.
I'm not worried about that because I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, yes, but we cannot not get these programs if we don't support the right politicians that are running throughout these communities and accept that babies, pregnant mothers, senior citizen, period, need this nutrition and health care.
And I want to add to that, she's not just sitting here just talking, she sacrificed a lot, even her own safety, for us to have the WIC program. I mean, she can talk more about, what happened at Caesar's Palace, but she actually did something no one was ever able to do, which is shut the strip down, but she did it to bring awareness for the impoverished, communities, that not just the black communities, but communities in general.
Right.
So she really, went out there, her and a bunch of other great women, for us to have these programs. So it's imperative that you guys listen to every word she says, because right now, it's like, like you said, you work with the great Cesar Chavez.
Yes, I did.
But it might be me, but it seems like, the black and the brown communities, instead of us coming up with ideas and, exchanging resources, we're now competing for resources. And that kind of saddens us,
Yes.
me, because, when we, back in the day, we all had one thing in common.
Yes.
And that was a goal to be liberated and to be treated fairly.
Yes.
And that's what bounding us together. What do you think we need to do to get back to that?
Well, let me say this, competing continually to go on in all these community programs. But what they all should do is come together and understand that whatever group of politicians throughout your community, whether I will go back again, your Congress people, your senators, great senators throughout Nevada, or throughout the total United States of states, you must push your younger people, especially because you have the walking stamina, you have the knowledge all of a certain that you want to do something. But your best bet is to go vote. You have probably a misunderstanding about, I'm not going to vote. What they going to do for me?
Right.
Right. You keep saying that and see what they'll do for you. You'll still be out there talking the same talk. Get up off your bottom or pull that machine out of your back pocket, front pocket, wherever you got it. Read it, because you don't have to leave your couch to vote. All you have to do, pull that machine out, which is your cell phone, your telephone, whatever you want to call it. Pull it out and read and vote from that couch you sitting on.
Right.
Or at your kitchen table. Once you pull it out, start voting, it'll tell you exactly what to do. Your address, and when your address and everything, they got you. Then, once your papers come in, you have a wonderful envelope of good reading. You must fill it out, and I'm a Democrat, so I'm going to say who I am. But you have the right to vote for whoever you wish. But I know Democrats are the one pushes for the most nutritional programs there are, the most working programs there are, the most health care programs there are. So let's get busy. Pull those machines out of your pocket, read it, follow the information. Once that envelope come back to you, I want you to sign everything it says. Give them the right address. Make sure you account it in what we call a world of information is in voting for yourself,
Right.
your grandmother, your mom, your grandfather, your babies, your family. And please understand, you'll be using the same thing that they use: healthcare, nutrition, jobs. There's hundreds of programs throughout these United States. Matter of fact, over hundreds, it's thousands. So you can't miss it.
Mhm. Okay, well, I'm gonna play a little devil advocate right now. Now, what do you say to people that say, okay, the Democrats may have pushed for that, but when it comes to legislation that benefit the black community and minority communities, it was all Republican presidents that signed off on them, whether it was the Civil Rights Movements, the Voting Rights Act, you know, all the laws that was aimed at our communities were signed into law by Republican presidents. So what do you say to people that come back and say, well, yeah, the Democrats might have, propagated that, but the ones that made it a reality were Republicans.
That's a bunch of bull.
Right.
I'm a Democrat. I'm 92 years old, so I've been out here a while. I totally understand. I've been working with the Democrats for at least 68 years. I totally understand. The Democrats are for working people. I know the Republican, you got some great Republicans. Now, not all of them is ignorant and stupid and act up. But you must understand that I know Democrats are for the working people. They are for the health care and the food stamps and the WIC program. Not only that, they're for the working man.
Absolutely.
So look forward there for education. They will fight for you. Now, you got some great Republicans that do that also. But I have to first see them, because I know when my children were first born, I had to feed my kids off of, believe this or not, of cornmeal, cornbread, fried in Vaseline grease. They didn't have no program, none, zero. It taken all the Democrats and some Republicans to put all those beautiful programs together for working people, low-income community, and that means all you poor, working, white moms, black moms, brown moms, whomever you are, and Asian, you better get busy on knowing you must vote in order to give those politicians support to bring about nutrition, health care, jobs, and all the great needs that we need within the country.
You can't argue with that. Now, I don't know how you feel about talking about this, but and if you don't, I respect that. But is it true that you were born on a plantation?
I was born, how wonderful. I was born outside of Tallulah, Louisiana, in the backwoods of Tallulah, Louisiana, in the cotton patch. I started chopping cotton and picking cotton at the age of 7.
Wow.
All my life, I was in the cotton patch up until I was 17. And I left the country in a little town and come to Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm here. And I've been preaching this same sermon for at least 68 years.
And the irony of that is that, I do a little bit of this and that, but is it true that they said that you, when you were, on the plantation, I think in your teen years, you actually had a vision of you seeing yourself leading a line of people, so that you had an epiphany way back then? You knew that you were destined for greatness.
Well, I really didn't understand it until I got older and began into doing the things that I was doing. Yes, I did. When I remember the 14, 15, 16 years old, I would be in a cotton patch, picking cotton or chopping cotton. And I could hear the songs. They were beautiful songs. I can't remember names nowadays, but Yes, I could see myself in a dream or something of going way, 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 way from Louisiana, and especially out of the cotton patch.
Wow. And that's one thing about God's people. It goes
Yes,
all the way back to the prophet Daniel.
yes, it did.
They always have a dream.
Yes,
And that's beautiful. Now I want to get into something that's probably a little bit serious. After all the work that you guys did, I understand that you spearheaded the movement Operation Life.
yes,
And I understand that y'all operated out of a building that ex boxing champion Joe Louis and Sammy Davis
yes.
Jr.
The
had.
Old Cove
The Old
Hotel.
Cove. Okay. After all the work that you guys did, to bring the resources in the community, in the communities, and bring awareness to impoverished communities, how do you feel about, let's just say, back in 1984, pre-85,
Yes.
when the crack epidemic hit? Do you feel like, because when the crack epidemic hit, it seemed like everything that you and women like you worked so hard for was undone because you guys, the resources that you was asking for started, turning into locks and cameras and gates, not to protect yourself from people that, you were
Yes.
protesting against, but from people in your own community. What do you think happened to us as a people when that, the crack epidemic hit to bring us back so far like this?
Thanks for asking that question. But a little bit of it is a little bit stronger than I can say sitting right here
Right.
on camera and on microphone. We always have known that our young people, and when I say our young people, I mean young, black, white, brown, and Asian.
Right.
We always have known that they did not themselves bring
Absolutely.
all of this garbage
Right.
into the community to recycle the minds of our young people.
Absolutely.
We knew who it was,
Mhm.
but at the moment, I want you guys to do some reading, which, I mean, the Republicans, I must say, don't want you to read, because look what they're doing to the libraries right now. Taking books out, burning them, shutting them down. I mean, so you got to think why. That's because they don't want you to think. Let me say something, young people. You better start thinking, and you better think deep. I don't care what color. Women, young men, let's start thinking. The only way you got out, the only real way you got out, is education, voting for those who are going to help you, and insist. And if they're not doing it, pull them together, call a meeting, and let them know they ain't no more than you. You tell them what you want them to hear. But
Absolutely.
be nice, Sometimes it confuses them when you throw too much at them, but you must have a sit down conversation with your representatives. And not only in Washington, D.C., you got city people, commissioners, city councilmen, everything. You got it in the county. County commissioners. You must talk to these people. If you need more jobs, or you can think. Go on your machine and see what's there that you can pull together. They have lots of programs that you can you got a whole university. You got more than one. You got a whole bunch of educational projects out here. I call them projects, not all of them. But the university, community colleges, and colleges. So you start learning what's there for you. Maybe you don't have a job you like. There's loads of healthcare jobs. There's loads of jobs throughout this community. There are more jobs in these United States these days than it was when I was in my 20s.
Absolutely. Well, I would say this. One of the things that I can add to that is that we're not gonna go, over what I just said. We talk about, one of the things I think influenced us in a negative way too was music. I think that and fluctuation of gangster rap music, like, back in at the same time the crack epidemic hit, the music changed from being social conscious. We were talking about fight the power back then, and we were of a social conscious level. We looked at black women and women in general as queens, and they looked at us as kings. We called one another brothers. Then all of a sudden we started looking at each other as the N word, and women became bitchs, and everything spilled into streets, and it's like we became our own worst enemy. We became the exact very thing that people like you fought against. And I don't want to stoke no flames, but the original Boys in the Hood, we both know were the Ku Klux Klan. But we turned around and started calling ourselves Boys in the Hood. So we started being the exact thing that you guys were fighting against, and how does that make you feel, seeing that these young black and brown men, and some white, losing their lives in the street to, nonsense?
There were all different races out there, and it still is to a certain extent. No, I didn't like it. No mother liked it, but that's my reason why I'm saying, mothers, young mothers, please go into your school district and start watching your children. That's part of the job we also have to have.
Yes, ma'am.
Because if you don't go into your schools and start working with the teachers, you just want to know what's going on in education of your children into the school. Know what's going on in order to make sure your children grow up strong, wise, and sensible. Make sure that, like, I have a school named after me, and I go out and talk to them. Make sure your school, go out to the school where your children go to school. Know what's going on. So therefore, if you knowing what's happening in the schools, then you must know what's happening in the community. You don't know everything, but do the best you can. And if you do, you must know now. Your children didn't come up with that. They were taught that somewhere in the streets, somewhere. So you keep your children sort of wrapped around close where you can know what's going on the best you can. I mean, I know poor mothers works, a lot of poor mothers works, matter of fact, and fathers work. And you believe that your children will do as you say. But young people are very smart. Once you are out of sight, then they begin to kind of creep out of sight. So they do things that they shouldn't. Now, being with groups,
absolutely,
that don't understand that they're going wrong. And it's at the moment, we all must be community helpers, watch out for all our young children, and because one day they're going to be your next door neighbors.
Absolutely.
So let's hope the best. Work with them, do the best.
And I won't lie, I growing up, I was, my grandma was just like you. She was a staunch supporter of that. Yeah, but I made some wrong choices in life, and I dealt with the consequences of them. But I do concur with what you say. It's important to have, especially the father at home.
Yes.
And I'm actually best friends with your grandson. And, one thing I always admired about him, even though, we're not perfect, but one thing I always admired about him, he always, no matter what he do, he always find his way back to his children.
Yes.
And I always, when I come into contact with him, I tell him about that, give him a little nudge, this is what I'm talking about, and this is what you should be doing.
Yes.
So the importance of, young black men, brown men, and men in general being at home, and kids having a father
and don't
figure.
leave out the poor white young men.
Yeah, most definitely the poor white man. It's we are all human beings at the end of the day.
It's I always say you all God's children.
Yes, ma'am. And there's no such thing as black and white. There's only two type of people, and it's good and evil.
There you go.
And each one is a choice.
That's true.
So.
Yes.
But to all you young people out here, I hope you listening, because we have people like this still amongst us, which gives us optimism about our future. And one thing she keeps stressing about that I hope y'all keening in on is education, because when you know better, you do better. So, what do you think that some of the things that we can do better to start, putting education out there? Because to be honest, when you go on the internet now, it's so much negativity. You got dudes with great nose hairs arguing with each other, about this and that, and youngsters, like you say, they look at that stuff and they think this is the way they supposed to act. So we need to put more positive, influencers out there so they can have, know that they have a variety, know that they have a choice, that everything isn't a rite of passage by going to prison or being out there with your chest poked out like you tough. That you can actually go to school and get your education. That's really being tough. That's being a man. That's what your mama brought you in this world to do.
That's right.
To be an upright man. And education has to be the beacon in the forefront of that, because like I just said, if you know better, you do better. But what do you say in our closing remarks? I'm gonna turn it over to you. Talk more about voting and what it means to us as a community and a nation, and the importance of it.
Yes. Well, what I have to say about all the great things that you're saying, you would hope that the parent would do. All parents don't have a great outlook, but it takes a community to do this.
Yes,
all our communities, fathers and mothers, should really get together. But what's going on right now is too many cell phones are given to children under the age of 16.
Right.
No child, I feel, that should have a cell phone where they can hear all the crazy stuff, watch all the stupid stuff, and don't understand that they are supposed to do what we call great work in your classes and whatnot. You should never let your child go to school with a cell phone. Let them have whatever situation that they can have. I don't know nothing much about, because I wasn't born in all that electronical time. I was way out there before. Nowadays, you must understand your young people got electronic brains. And so we must try to control that through being with our children, teaching them great things the best we know. Take them to fathers and mothers can go to the libraries with them. If not, take them to the park. Try to make them feel like they got it going on, like, a lot of mothers and fathers do that. Take their children to park. And then we need grown-ups to be an instrumental guidance with our children, bringing about programs and teaching them, like once upon a time when we didn't have cell phones. Parents met together. They had little gathering for their children in different parks and built in educational centers, and that was what was going on. Now the cell phone has taken up all of that, and it's not healthy.
Right. Speaking, I want to cover one thing before we get out of here. The historic West Side, remember Barack Obama went to Doolittle?
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that area over there is, from Van Buren to Monroe to Jefferson, Jackson, which used to be the lifeline of the black community, when the Moulin Rouge opened and then the Town Tavern opened, I think in 1955.
Right.
Okay. So, that whole area, Monroe, Adams, Jefferson, those are all ex-presidents. Did you know that?
Yes.
Washington.
Right.
Yeah. So that area over there in itself is a landmark. And people don't know, when you first came out of here, that whole area was really less, it was undeveloped. People lived in wire houses. So can you explain a little bit before we get out here how, the undeveloped part of Las Vegas looked?
Well, we have many areas are undeveloped throughout the city and the county and the state. But that area of the town is where most black coming in the late 50s and the 40s and the 60s is where black people kind of come together, because they could not live in downtown Las Vegas, or so-called in the city of Las Vegas, because that it was a lot of racism during those days. But time have worked up to being a very beautiful time. But in the meantime, that area could have been a beautiful area, along with myself and your grandmother, and all those people were together working with that side of town. We brought programs in. We brought in some new housing. We brought in all kinds of programs for young people, older young people, but it went away when everybody got COVID and just passed away. The whole area went down. Lots of older people grew up and turned their houses over to young people who didn't understand how to know this is mine and keep it up. So it's a whole bunch of blame everywhere.
Right.
But we hope that if each and every one of us today vote and vote on more programs to come into the low-income areas, not only that, throughout the business districts and the business areas, we know that they're privileged and we are not. But in order for us to have jobs, everybody isn't about putting together businesses.
Okay.
But if there are jobs out there, we at least have a job to work and somewhere maybe to lay our heads and call home.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's hope and pray that all of you young people, I mean you low-income, poor people, and especially we need to do something for the older people living on the street. We need to take those people off the street and put them in buildings. The city, the state, the county, they have money. Washington, D.C. have money. That's what you send your representative back there for, to bring money out of Washington into your state. That's where we're going to see if the Republicans bring about something that needs to be brought about that makes sense outside of doing other things to disenfranchise our thoughts. But anyway, let me say again, young people, I want you to pull out your phones in your pockets and find out how you can vote anyone over at the age of 18 or between the ages of 17 and 18. Pull your phone out. Register to vote. I said register so you can vote at the age of 18 if you they know when you turn 18 because you're going to have to register otherwise anyway. So let's make sure we do that. And I hope you'll come go to the polls with me, or you will mail back your vote and make sure that everything is right and vote for those you know that's going to make everything happen. We got a presidential, and you must know that old man Joe Biden, he may be old, but he know what he's doing. I want y'all to vote for him. It's important. Thank you.
Well, you can't argue with that, and I remain optimistic about the future, but one thing I know for sure is that your legacy, along with the quote from, Operation Life, which is of the poverty community, by the poverty community, for the poverty community.
Exactly.
Those will forever be etched into the history of not just Las Vegas, but our communities throughout the vast majority of the Meadowlands.
Yes.
And with that, I would like to say, shout out to everybody that support my platform. Who I just had here with me was, and there's no words that can describe it, so we just go leave it there. And I'm going to leave y'all with these thoughts. God bless you, and won't he do it? Signing off.